What did a crush do that made you instantly lose interest in him/her? She asked me if I wanted to go to a concert with her, then she wanted me to pay for both tickets that I knew she got for free. Promptly laughed at her and told her she can fuck off with some other idiot. It's funny how fast the ugliness on the inside can overcome anything good on the outside. She did me a favor that day. My friend used to have a crush on this guy, but one day when he was out with her along with a couple of friends, he stole tips off the bar counter and offered her food with it. She refused. If you invite someone and tell them to pay not only their part but yours too, there's something wrong. He asked me to help him hook up with my best friend. Edit. At that time I thought he was indirectly rejecting me and asking for my friend's number at the same time. Two birds with one stone, you know. Well, I asked my friend if she liked him and she said yes, so I became the matchmaker. They dated for like 3 months and broke up. The guy later told me she wasn't what he expected her to be. He also told me some of his friends liked me and he didn't want it to be a part of some manly fight. Well, we became good friends. I still had a little crush on him, but I had to change schools so I hid it, and we parted 5 years ago. I am still wondering what he is doing right now. It was a bittersweet crush. I bet he knew I still had a crush on him. Oh, that hurts. What kind of a guy you like? Your friend Alex. He is perfect. Haha, yeah, he is. He thinks we look great together. Is he single? Yeah, but I don't see how this. I love him. Pay the bill. We were out drinking. He got drunk and started fighting a guy that he thought had been harassing me. The guy said he didn't harass me. I said he didn't harass me. My crush still tried to defend me. Never lost interest faster. Oof. He looks like he was looking for a fight to impress you. I worked up the courage to ask this girl to go on a date. She said yes. On the date, she proceeded to spend the whole time gossiping about anyone and everyone she could talk bad about. I still remember the moment it clicked that she was just super shallow and mean. Was crushing on this girl for fucking months, and it turns out at her last apartment she stole $1,500 for coke and abruptly ended the lease, giving her 2 roommates barely any time at all to find new housing, one of which had to move back in with their abusive mother. He tossed an empty drink bottle onto a random lawn as we walked down the street. Oh man, that just pulled up a memory of a guy I was on a date with who keyed a random person's car for no reason as we were walking along. Awful. I went on a date with a guy and he stuck his gum under the table at a bar. What a fact? We were in our early 20s and out of college, working at adult jobs, and this motherfucker couldn't even grab a napkin? Who does that? I developed my first crush when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. This was right around the time when Pokemon were first becoming really popular, so naturally I was obsessed with them. I had the cards, the Game Boy games, etc. One day I overheard the girl I had a crush on talking to her friends at recess about how weird Pokemon were, and thus in a flash a young love was extinguished. Fast forward about 22 years and my wife also doesn't like Pokemon, because life is strange. Acting like a complete dickhead, and when I addressed it he said, I know I'm an a-hole, but I'm really sexy. Like, okay, suddenly, you're really not sexy at all. She was going to a party and I said, you seem pretty unenthusiastic about going. She replied with, don't use big words. Threw rocks at a cat because she thought it was funny. That's no way to show appreciation to a funny cat. This guy that I'd been talking to for a while on Tinder, who I thought was cool cute, but he never seemed down to meet up. One time he randomly messaged me to say he'd gone over to someone's place, and they'd had sex 3 times. I think he was trying to make me jealous, but it just made me feel a bit gross. I had similar. I had known this guy for a few weeks and finally had a date at his to cook me dinner. Texted him a couple days before to say hi, and asked him how his day was. He told me it was great because he had morning sex, then a good day at work, then a date and sex with a totally different person. On the one hand, thanks for making it easy for me to dump you, and on the other hand, maybe work on not being a 100% a-hole. I've never understood this. If you're trying to make someone jealous, which let's face it you shouldn't be doing anyway, go with something simple like someone was flirting hard with me and I kind of enjoyed it. Basically saying, hey, I'm into you but met this chick guy and we banged. Would just make me think, okay, so they aren't that into me then and gross. You can have them, then I'm fucking out. We were 5, Had planned to marry when we got older with a pancake wedding cake and everything. I was invited to his birthday party and he and his friend was climbing a tree with him being higher up. Suddenly he pees down on his friend. We never got married. He was mean to his mom. Demanded money from her so we could go out, in front of me, and then called his grandma to get some more money so we could go out. So uncomfortable. Edit. We were both around 22. Not my crush, but someone who had a crush on me, or so I was told. She asked for my birthday, and I told her. She then calculated that I was younger than her by a week or so and straight up said to me, I did have a crush on a guy, but then I found out he was younger than me, so now there's not crush. Damn dude. LOL. What a dumb reason. My husband is 8 months younger than me, but born the same year. I love making cradle robbing jokes and telling him to respect his elders. He loves making old lady jokes. It's stupid, but it's fun to us. It was a teenage crush. He had multiple girlfriends, who didn't know about each other. Disloyalty is not cool. Found out she was a cousin. We were in class together, and it was all a pure coincidence. Neither of us had any idea until a family member casually mentioned to me, Doesn't her name go to your school? Well, crap. Not something that she did, but her breath smelled like shit. Literally like shit. My brother from another mother had this problem. He couldn't understand why girls weren't interested in him. Never took hygiene seriously until his mid-20s. Because he never brushed his teeth, he developed an abscessed tooth and let it fester. Customers started complaining and he was sent home from work until he got it fixed. The entire time I drove him to the dentist, I made him stick his head out the open window. It smelled terrible. Dentist gave him a good talking to about how his bad teeth could affect his heart. Soon after, he started showering and brushing his teeth every day. Found out he was a serial cheater and cheated on his exes with strippers and masseuses. I had a crush on a guy in 5th grade. He found out about my crush and made a really hateful nickname for me and teased me about my body. Got all of his friends to tease me too. Realizing he was a garbage person set me straight pretty quickly. This is a serious response. He threatened to kill me and himself if I broke up with him. We were alone in the house and he was having some sort of episode where he spaced out, became robotic, and dissociated. This made him act very slow and lethargic. He had mental issues. I grabbed my stuff and ran. Never saw him again, but I know he was hospitalized. I'm married now and he hasn't contacted me since. I actually hope he's doing better. Turns out he never bothered to develop a personality because his looks and sporting prowess carried him through every interaction in his life. I didn't care about sports, so when I finally ended up having a one-on-one chat with him, the guy was a complete void. Couldn't talk about anything. Hadn't even developed the ability to ask questions because he was all too happy to just be praised and talked about all the time. It was so bizarre. He didn't really know what he liked, had no real opinion on anything outside of sports, didn't have any hobbies and was generally just dull as dishwater. She referred to Mexicans as wetbacks. I look white. What she didn't know is that I'm part Mexican. Racism of any kind towards anyone is an instant turn-off. I live in a small town that is 70% Mexican. I also coach youth soccer. I once coached some 10 and under kids. There were maybe 3 white kids out of 15 on the team. I usually let the team decide their mascot. These kids wanted to be called the Beaners. I refused. Also tried to use it as a teaching moment, but I felt like I was telling African Americans they couldn't use the N-word. He drove like an idiot while I was in the car. I literally thought he was going to kill us, and he was road raging the whole time. This was on the highway too. I asked him to stop driving like that and he didn't. Never going out with him again. Tortured a housefly and gave an oral book report trashing my favorite book, at the time, for being boring and having too many words. Then started bragging he could have any girl in the school he wanted. Shortest crush of my life. And he's a liar, since we know now there's at least one girl in the school he couldn't have. I misunderstood a comment, and he was a dick about it in front of a few people. Laughing at my instead of kindly correcting me. What a fuckhead. My ex-husband was like that. Any misunderstanding or asking a question for clarification was met with laughter and mocking. He even got his mom in on it. That shit wears you down so fast. By the time we were going through our divorce, I was convinced I was a total idiotic fuck-up who couldn't do anything right. I was home at my parents' house and I did something really small. I can't remember exactly what, but it was like I spilled a bit of water or dropped a towel. I said, "I'm such an idiot. I can't believe how dumb I am." My mom looked at me strangely and said, "No, you're not. Why would you say that?" It took lots of therapy and time to recognize and accept I'm not an idiot, but being told time and time again that I started to truly believe it. That's a very long way of saying good for you for getting out of that situation, and yes, he was a fuckhead. Humiliation, especially to impress others, is a bad sign. She fucked my dad. Best to not crush on your mom anyways. Told her I liked her, then she blocked me on all social media and bullied me harshly whenever she saw me. Ouch. Used a baby voice when speaking to me. Dude, she knocked over my Lego Death Star, she had to go. She started posting videos of her making out with drunk old men to her Snap. We're both in college. When I said I was legitimately suicidal and wanted to talk to her to get my mind off of it, she responded with, "You're so self-centered," and, "LOL, do it, pussy." And the best part is I thought we were good friends up until that point. Didn't defend me when his friends tried to assault me, just laughed with them. This is the long version of the story. I have never been popular, was always bullied and stuff. One of the things people told me was that I was a prude, because I never had a boyfriend at that point. Apparently, some of my classmates got inspired by that and started a bet, whoever could do me in, a slang word in my language that can mean anything from making out to sex, would win. Every contestant put in a certain amount of money. At the height of the contest it was about €100, that would be their prize. All of a sudden, I was invited to popular parties, people tried to make me drink, random people started talking to me, flirting, groping. More and more people became aware of the bet, so even people I'd never talked to or who were complete strangers to me started to hit me up. It was weird, I was still in the dark about the bet, and I didn't get why some guys, sometimes even girls, wanted to hang out with me or wanted to see me drink. Luckily for me I don't drink, but it was all very uncomfortable. My crush and I went on a school trip together with the rest of our year, and all of a sudden things get out of hand. People groping me, now the supervision of the teachers is half gone, people trying to ask me if I ever kissed someone. The most scary experience was when a couple of guys cornered me in the park and told me, very detailed, how they wanted to have sex with me. Some of them were my classmates, some of them were friends of my crush, one of them was my crush. You can imagine how scared I was as a 15-year-old, no adults in sight, only me and these 10-16-year-olds. I was hoping my crush would defend me. He was a nice guy, never laid a hand on anybody, always friendly. But he just laughed. They were telling me how they would rape me and he laughed. It took 2 more months before another girl had the courage to tell me what was going on. She used the word "do in," and I was too flustered to ask if she meant the light version, or all the way. When I told the teachers about the bet, about all the people who were involved, about how no one told me anything about it, not even the girls, they told me I had no proof. Was imagining things again, and that boys will be boys with hormones. What can we do about that? It all stopped when I got a boyfriend that very summer, who was 5 years older than me and would later turn out to be an abuser. He looked like he was 30 though, so I guess most of the guys got too scared to lay a hand on me. But yeah, that's how my crush lost my interest. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.